Ireland was the Catholic country hit hardest by the abuse scandal, with some 13,000 known victims. The finger of blame has been pointed not only at the offending priests, but at the church hierarchy who knew about them and protected the perpetrators at the expense of the victims, all the way up to Benedict. In his letter, Benedict admitted that the cause of the problem was a tendency to, quote, a misplaced concern for the church and avoidance of scandal. In 2001, when he was still Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, he instructed bishops to report abuse cases to the Vatican in strict secrecy and not to inform civil authorities. In his pastoral letter, Pope Benedict said offending priests brought shame and dishonor to the church and must answer for their sinful and criminal acts before God and before properly constituted tribunals, an apparent reference to civil courts. Victims of abuse characterize the Vatican's handling of a crisis that has assumed global proportions as denial and deceit, and it will take more than a pastoral letter to repair the damage. In an apparent reference to the need for reform at all levels, the Pope said many factors had contributed to the problem, including insufficient moral and spiritual formation in seminaries. With the scandal continuing to spread at an accelerating rate throughout Europe and indeed across other parts of the world, it may be that the Pope has to sincerely apologize not only to the victims of abuse, but to the faithful in general, and he may even have to go so far as to remove some of his bishops. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, London.
Yeah, like from the board, not just the space they're on. Seriously, if an atheist molested a child, suddenly every atheist on the planet would be a child molester. But we're expected to accept an apology from someone who didn't even do it, didn't even touch a child, to make it all better? Really? Apologies don't solve everything. They're not magic band-aids. Sure, it's nice that he's finally owning up to the fact that he was a big douchebag and hid the crimes from civil courts and whatnot. But seriously, that's just really irresponsible.
Here, I would like to pause to acknowledge the shame which you have all felt as a result of the sexual abuse of minors by some clergy and religious in this country. Indeed, I am deeply sorry for the pain and suffering the victims have endured, and I assure them that as their pastor, I too share in their suffering. These misdeeds, which constitute so grave a betrayal of trust, deserve unequivocal condemnation. They've caused great pain and have damaged the Church's witness. I ask all of you to support and assist your bishops and to work together with them in combating this evil. Victims should receive compassion and care, and those responsible for these evils must be brought to justice. It is an urgent priority to promote a safe and more wholesome environment, especially for young people.
All right. Something I can agree on, something I can get behind. Think of the children. We have to make a safe environment for the children. I can agree with that. Eggs Benedict. Benedict Arnold. Benjamin Benedict. Of course, those words seem kind of hollow from the station in the Vatican that moves priests who are reportedly molesting children from one church to another, meaning they're just moving the problem somewhere else, meaning more children will be molested. Something to think about.
Jack Cafferty's here with the Cafferty File. Jack.
Wolf, if the Vatican won't clean it up, there's another way to get the Catholic Church's attention when it comes to a global sex scandal involving the molestation of tens of thousands of little children at the hands of priests. Take the Pope's native Germany, for example. When the news broke there last week and the church opened a hotline meant for victims of abuse, more than 4,000 people called in on the first day. The system was overwhelmed. Therapists were only able to answer 160 calls. But more importantly, as the scandal grows, the church in Germany is beginning to suffer the fate that perhaps it deserves. People are leaving it in droves. One recent survey shows 1/4 of Catholics in Germany say they have lost faith in the church's leadership. Meanwhile, Easter Sunday has come and gone with little from the church. The Pope passed up yet another opportunity to address the scandal in his address. But we did get this. While defending the Pope, one top Vatican cardinal denounced, quote, petty gossip, unquote. That's what he called the accusations of the sexual abuse of children by Catholic priests, petty gossip. If the Pope and the rest of the church hierarchy remain silent on this scandal long enough, there may be nobody left in the pews to talk to about it. My guess is when the money that hits the collection plates every Sunday begins to dry up, the church may suddenly decide it's time to admit, address, and confess what they've been only too willing to turn a blind eye to for years and years and years. And by then, it might be too late. Here's the question. In light of the worldwide child sex abuse scandal, what's the future of the Catholic Church? Go to cnn.com/Cafferty file. Post a comment on my blog.
Chuck Cafferty, get ready. You're going to be flooded with emails right now, and I know you're ready for those. Thank you.
We are, sure.
Questions are swirling. Right back to Jack for the Cafferty file. Jack.
The question this hour, Wolf, in light of the worldwide child sex abuse scandal, what's the future of the Catholic Church? Larry in Washington writes, it's not the sex abuse, it's the cover-up that will hurt the church the most. Think how many incidents would not have happened if only people like Cardinal Ratzinger had protected children instead of protecting the church's reputation. Ben in California writes, the Catholic Church has been in trouble for a long time. Eventually, people will stop going to church or change religions. Even as a young altar boy, I saw things that I didn't think were right, but I was afraid to tell my parents because they would tell me that I was wrong and that priests don't do that. Sharon writes, the Catholic Church must address these scandals, put aside every priest who committed sexual abuse. Without this happening, the church is in serious trouble. This is the 21st century. No longer can institutions like the Catholic Church hide their heads in the sand and ignore what has happened or push it aside. What a ridiculous remark. Petty gossip. There's nothing petty about what happened to those kids. Griff in Vermont writes, to quote Gandhi, I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians. This extends to the political hierarchy of the Catholic Church as well, especially in this situation. I believe the real church is the people in it, not the officials. When the frame of the house fails and crumbles, the people within simply repair and rebuild. And Todd in St. Louis writes, the Catholic Church in its current form has no future, in my opinion. I was raised Catholic, attended Catholic schools through high school, and have a number of nuns and priests in my extended family. Once evidence was made public of the extent of their cover-up, I lost all faith. I still believe in God, but the Catholic Church has lost any credibility it once had in my mind. Further, I can't help but believe that the God I was taught about as a child in their church is as disgusted with them as I am. If you want to read more on this, got a lot of email, go to my blog, cnn.com/Cafferty file.
Some strong statements coming in. All right, Jack, thanks very much.
Well, I hate to use Godwin's law, but while we're talking about historical figures such as Gandhi, where in Hitler's criminal record does one find child molestations, rape, or both? Though molestation is sort of rape. It is rape. Ignore that. I could go off on a tangent about how Hitler was a Catholic, or how he believed in some Aryan GC, or about the phrase Gott mit uns, or uns, I don't know, pronunciation, up to you, which translates into God with us. But really, let's not get into that crap. I don't really care if Hitler was a Christian, atheist, Jew, or science freakentologist. What matters is the fact that even Hitler did not molest children. Rather irrelevant, but still, it's something to notice.